a record low percentage of young Americans eligible to serve and an even tinier fraction willing to consider it. Joining me now is Stu Scheller, a Marine Corps lieutenant colonel discharged after criticizing the military's Afghanistan withdrawal. He's also the author of Crisis of Command. Stuart, this really is the chickens coming home to roost moment. I think you predicted it. I predicted it. They want the military to be like, Harvard Law School, like a Thursday night seminar where it's no really different from any college campus.
Yes, Laura, thanks for having me on. Bottom line, you alluded to it. This is not a recruitment problem. This is a problem with our senior leaders. Our senior leaders' inability to have courage, their hypocrisy, it's affecting all other things. You would think a young American would want to raise their right hand, support and defend the Constitution, similar to your last guest talking about wanting to support and defend the Constitution, and have trust in our senior military leaders. But our senior military leaders have demonstrated through action that we can't trust them. And you would be naive to think that a young American isn't getting online, going on the internet, and seeing all the missteps that we can clearly see of our senior military leaders.
I was lucky enough to be at the Michael Murphy Navy SEAL Museum opening out in Long Island today, and I had a chance to meet so many incredible men and women in uniform and former SEALs and so forth, and looking at the wall of all these special operators who gave their lives for this country. And I actually got angry. I got angry about what's happening to this military and all their sacrifice and the families who are still sacrificing to this day. We owe them a lot, and a lot better than this.
Yeah, I actually just spent some time down in Texas with Morgan and Marcus Luttrell. I saw some pictures of Marcus Luttrell at the museum, and I was talking to Marcus, and he was talking about our generation born in the 70s and 80s that has been forged in fire through combat, where our senior leaders have made consistent mistakes. But I think it's our time to step up and get us back on track to a constitutional mindset. We need leadership. We need courage. I think that's what the 22 election cycle is going to be about. That's what I'm dedicated to. And I think our senior leaders need to wake up to the real problems right now.
Yeah, we're going to need a new commander-in-chief for that, I think. Here's something else affecting recruitment and retention. Since the military's COVID-19 vax mandate, over 5,000 military members were discharged for refusing to comply. Stuart, most of these people are in good health. A lot of them have already had COVID. How do we expect the military to meet their quotas when we're kicking out perfectly healthy men and women?
Yeah, Laura, I'll tell you firsthand that those numbers are much larger, especially if you start going in the National Guard or the reserves. You start getting into the 40 to 100,000. There's still a bunch of medical waivers that are making it hard for them to discharge, but the problem is much bigger than the 5,000 that you described, and it even is exacerbated by people coming in. Right now, we have a senator candidate in New Hampshire, Don Bolduc, a former one-star general. His kids went through ROTC and were told right at the end that they couldn't join because they weren't going to get vaccinated, and then they were told that they had to pay back the ROTC scholarship. All of these service members that have served for 2 decades in war, they made an individual medical choice not to get vaccinated. I don't care what your opinion is, but for you to say that they don't deserve an honorable discharge on the way out the door is criminal. And it's indicative of our lack of courage and hypocrisy in our senior military leadership.
Yeah, again, the message comes from the top, and Republicans are the ones who help fund all of this. So the Republicans have to, at some point, Lieutenant Colonel Scheller, they have to say no more. Not a dime is going to go to this diversity, equity, inclusion nonsense.